The White House, of course, has leapt to the forefront of people's concern this morning, and there is a plane circling the White House at the moment, and they're clearing the grounds there. That's a report which may be misleading in that it may presume an attack, whereas we just discovered a moment ago that what we had with an additional airplane in New York airspace was a security operation. I think probably most Americans know that there is no building in the country which has heavily defended, I shouldn't say deemed secure, but a battery of anti-aircraft missiles on the top of the White House itself.
Okay, they're asking if you would go ahead and move away now towards the west, 270 heading, and 2000 for now.
How to address many of the festering issues.
Professor, let me interrupt you for just 1 second, because we do have some new information we want to share with our viewers here in Washington, that there is a report of a fire at the Pentagon, and we have seen some smoke, so we're trying to get some more information on that. We do not know what's happening at the Pentagon, which brings us to what you were talking about, the Middle East and the Bush administration policies toward the Middle East. Okay, these are live pictures now of the Pentagon. You can see this thick black smoke. This is no trash fire, folks. So obviously something has happened at the Pentagon. This is a live picture of the Pentagon. This is not New York City. So we are obviously getting crews there to find out what has happened. Has something set off? Did something, let me ask our producer, do we have any indication that a plane was involved here? Keep in mind, okay, the Pentagon is not very far from National Airport. Some incident causing thick black smoke has happened at the Pentagon. So, Professor, have there been particular unhappiness from these terrorist groups with policies of the Bush administration? We know they've been unhappy about Iraq. Any other?
Mark, I'm going to stop you right here. We do have an urgent wire now saying another aircraft, unbelievably, has crashed into the Pentagon.
Senator Ted Kennedy in Washington. Chris Plant, a CNN producer, is at the Pentagon, where there is a significant fire. Chris, you're on the phone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Tell me what you know.
Well, arriving at the Pentagon a short time ago, there was a huge plume of smoke which continues to rise from the west side of the Pentagon over in the area where there is a helicopter landing zone. It's along Route 27 if you're looking at maps of the area. The building is currently being evacuated, and police and emergency units are, of course, responding from all around the building and from the local Arlington County Fire Department. The plume of smoke is enormous. It's a couple of 100 yards across. At its base, it is billowing into the sky hundreds of yards. It's impossible for me to say from this side of the building whether the building itself is on fire or up in flames, or exactly what caused this. I did not hear an explosion, but there is certainly a very, very significant fire in this enormous office building on the west front. The building is being evacuated. The Defense Protective Service officers, the police force for the Pentagon, are on a very tight string right now. As I arrived,
Okay,
I was
Chris,
held at gunpoint.
Chris.
So getting word that the White House may be under an evacuation order right now. Again, we don't know exactly what happened here at the Pentagon, but you can see the result of whatever it was near the area of the heliport is lots of billowing smoke, dark smoke, and workers reported hearing something and then feeling the area rumble.
What do you hear, Tom?
That's where they did construction.
There is construction work
there, so
going on there.
We don't know what is the cause of this smoke, but we are keeping you updated on this story, and of course the breaking story in New York where one of two planes we're now hearing that crashed into the World Trade Center was hijacked after takeoff from Boston.
On the left.
On the left is the Pentagon, and on the right is the World Trade Center, where reports now from AP say that one of the two planes that crashed into the World Trade Center towers was hijacked after takeoff
President Bush has called the World Trade Center explosions apparent terrorist attacks. Again, on the left of your screen.
Now we're hearing that the Associated Press is quoting witnesses as saying it was an aircraft that crashed into the Pentagon. And that is what we're looking at right now from Arlington, Virginia. Our Gannett cam looking at this huge billowing dark smoke. A plane.
So we got two planes that plowed into the World Trade Center up in New York. Now we've got a plane that plowed into the Pentagon here in Arlington. Stay with us. We're going to get you more information just as soon as we can. Apparently, the Pentagon being evacuated.
There are reports that the White House may be under an evacuation order as well. The West Wing of the White House has been evacuated, according to AP, amid terrorist threats.
So now we're hearing that they're evacuating the West Wing of the White House. The West Wing, of course, is where the President's office is. The President is not there, but where the Vice President has an office, the National Security Advisor. They are evacuating the West Wing of the White House. And as you said, they are now saying that a plane, incredibly, has crashed into the Pentagon. Folks, you're not going to see another day like this, I assure you.
Let us hope not. Let's bring everyone up to date. This is breaking news live from the Pentagon. The Pentagon, you can see, almost totally obliterated by smoke. Apparently an aircraft has crashed into the Pentagon.
We want to make it clear when you say obliterate, simply that you cannot see it, because we are not suggesting that the building has, unless we are not sure the extent of the damage could be considerable. But we do want to make it clear that in some of the pictures you can see the building is still standing, but the smoke is so thick that you cannot even see the building at this point. Okay, we do want to make that clear.
And then, as this is going on, we're also following the horrific situation in New York City.
And we have reports that the White House is being evacuated. Getting back to Chris in a moment, we also have reports now from Chris Plant on the scene that the Pentagon is being evacuated as well. All of this coming on the heels of a large fire at the Pentagon, and we can't tell you at this moment whether that fire is inside the Pentagon building itself or on the ground to the Pentagon. And these two planes that you can see behind us that hit the World Trade Center, that's Washington, the old executive office building, I believe, and you can see the plume of smoke behind it, which we will assume until we're told otherwise that that's the fire at the Pentagon. I believe that's correct as you look now at Washington. So we've got a major fire at the Pentagon, and the Pentagon being evacuated, the White House being evacuated, and we don't know precisely the circumstances there, what caused that decision. And we have these two enormous explosions at the World Trade Center here in New York, where two planes slammed into the buildings. We are also getting reports now that there is a fire on the Mall in Washington, that part of the Capitol that runs essentially from the Capitol to the White House in kind of a straight line going up Washington, D.C., and we have reports of a fire there. What you're looking at now is Washington, at least if I can see the monitor in front of me. It's a little tricky from where we are, but that looks to me like the old executive office building, and then in back of it you see the large plume of smoke.
Hello? Crystal City, just north of Crystal City.
Stop all departures. Stop all departures. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, stop all departures.
Thank you.
9:46 a.m. The Federal Aviation Administration has just shut down U.S. airspace. 9 minutes after impact, the west side of the Pentagon is in flames, and the headquarters of the Defense Department is now both a disaster scene and a crime